right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to a brand new episode with the Side of Chaos. This is Patricio, aka Rocky, and usually I'm joined by the saltiest white boy you'll ever meet, Aaron Sadagis, Salty Aaron, whatever you want to call him, the guy who's putting on a gimp suit at a freaking local comedy club. Whatever he's doing it well. But unfortunately, he will not be with us tonight because he's got something to do. Can I talk about it? No, I can't. Maybe we'll talk about it in the next episode. Who knows what will be, but we'll do it next time. But here's the thing. On tonight's episode, I'm excited about who I'm going to talk to right now because there's a lot of things going on in this world, whether it's the gas prices, the war, black or gold, whatever dress color that thing was. There's a lot of back and forths in this world. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the world because on tonight's episode, I got someone who wants to tell me that what I have in my hand isn't real. It's not what we think. We've been outside. We're seeing it the wrong way. And in no way, shape, or form am I going to try and make this like a back and forth, a battle or anything like that. I want to have a civilized conversation with someone who sees the world from a different point of view. And with all that being said and done, I am right now bringing into the show Mr. Flat Earth Dave himself, Dave Weiss. How you doing, sir?
Hey, doing good, Rocky. Thanks for having me. This is going to be a fun conversation.
Oh, dude,
And that dress is friggin' blue and white. I don't care what these crazy people that say it's black and gold. No, blue and gold, right?
It's white and gold.
Yeah, it's white and no. It's whatever. It's the lighter color. That's what I see. And there's other people that are seeing something completely different. That's absolutely nuts. That to me is the strongest proof that we're living in the friggin' Matrix. Right? it's unbelievable. So I don't want to even get into that. But
no, actually, no. I want to hold you on that one for 1 second because like that little meme divided this world so badly because I'll say it like this. I saw it white and gold. And then everyone saw it black or whatever, black or blue.
Yeah, but they see it like dark black. It's like, how do you possibly see that? We literally did it in a pizza restaurant just last week. And I asked the waitress, and it divided the entire restaurant. People are like, you're absolutely nuts. And then I had two photos where both people can see them. One is light and one is dark, right? Mm-hmm. And there's like that's what I see. Like, no, that's what I see. Insanity. That thing needs. That's a whole nother thing. It's like this. What shape are the center holes?
In regards to
what shape are they?
The center holes, they look like circles.
They do? They look like circles to me. They look
stop.
Like circles to you?
Mr. Illusionist right here.
Right? I see perfect circles right here. I see perfect circles. There you go. I see perfect circles, but when I turn it like this, I see squares or diamonds.
Crap. What the hell?
Isn't that crazy?
That is wild.
If you can't touch it or measure it yourself, you don't know what the hell's going on.
I call myself agnostic because I think that for me the movie Contact kind of like rewired me in a sense. And when Matthew McConaughey said that if you can't see it or feel it, describe the wind and all that stuff, I'm just like, wait a second, what is real at this point? What is actually real?
That movie Contact was a big mind control piece done on people. There's so many things. All of our life we've been globe. When you're a kid in school, it's all about the globe at the front of the class. Worksheets on the orbits of the moon, what goes around what? The moon goes around the earth goes around the sun. I remember doing that sheet, and I remember I was so proud that I got it right. Okay, But that's the programming right there. This whole helio-nonsensical bullshit system is absolute insanity. Today is your red pill moment. I said it to you before we started. This is it. You're going to have two choices. You can leave this conversation and go, I'm not going to think about anything that he said. I'm not going to do any other research. And I'm only going to Google flat earth so I can get the propaganda from the mainstream. And I'm not going to think about it. And then your life is literally going to crumble because your soul is going to be telling you, you were just shown the truth. Take a look, verify it yourself. And you're going to be like, no, I can't, because your ego is protecting your belief system. So today is the day where you're going to have to, you're going to come to the realization that you've been lied to your whole life. Your entire life is a lie. And now you get to start over again. And as soon as you get over that ego problem, I had it, everyone has it. Then all of a sudden you start to see, and then things start making sense. And then you start to see other things too. I mean, every flat earther out there knows what's going on in this world, knows the bullshit out there, knows the nonsense that's going on out there. And it's because they've disconnected from the matrix. What's the matrix? The matrix, like the movie, is the heliocentric system. It's a prison for your mind. Okay. And you're gonna within 5 minutes, you're gonna be like, well, why would they lie? Why would they lie? Right? Why would they lie? Okay. That's like walking into a room of 20 murdered, hacked up people, blood everywhere, body parts everywhere. And I'm like, oh my God, all these people are murdered. And you're like, nah, I don't see a motive. Why would they lie? Why would they lie? No, the evidence is gonna, go ahead.
So before we jump into the lie, before we dissect this whole thing, I want to ask you this, because here's the thing: I'm a small time podcaster out of Central Florida here in Orlando, and the goal of the show is to put a magnifying glass on Orlando to show the world that we're more than just theme parks. Now today we're pulling that magnifying glass away from Orlando and just putting it literally on our home planet Earth. Now, at the start of our conversation, when right before we went live, I had asked you, like, how'd you find me? And then immediately you said something that I'm like, okay, wait a sec, we need to save this for the show. So, like, I want to know, first of all, like, how you found our podcast.
So every year, Karen B, a big flat earther, I haven't heard a little echo. And she has a conference every year called Flattoberfest in October. And it's kind of where all flat earthers meet up with some presentations and music, and it's super fun. And after that, I started getting emails from somebody going, hey, this podcast should have you on. And they just kept connecting me show after show after show after show. And I'm like, let me, who is this person? I was like, it must have been somebody I met at the conference. And then I figured it was like a retired older guy. And then I finally got the person on the phone, and it's a younger, not man, it's female.
Okay.
And that person said, I'd rather stay anonymous. Okay. And I'm like, okay. And for the last 2 years, she's been just trolling the internet going, hey, check out this show, check out this show, check out this show. And been, sending my reservation link out. And here you are, I'm talking to you. I was unaware of your show before I got the booking.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Hey, the universe brought us together. And like I said, I want to have the conversation to understand why the world and all of us see it like this. And then there are some people in this world who see it, flat.
So belief is the enemy of knowing. Okay. You believe something, it's easy. Like I don't know if I told you I live in Connecticut, then you believe I live in Connecticut. You don't know it, you didn't verify it. It takes time to verify. You can go online, figure out my Facebook, my jobs. All right, it looks like he lives in Connecticut. But belief is easy. It takes no work. Somebody tells you something, you believe it, and then you don't verify anything. And your belief in the heliocentric system is such a big lie. You have no idea how big of a lie it is. Let me ask you some questions, and just to make you not feel too nervous, I got them all wrong.
Okay, let's do it.
A wicked feedback. Is there anything that changed on your end?
Real quick, let me.
So, how fast is the Earth spinning at the equator?
Is that a little better, Dave?
That's way better. Yeah, no echo.
All right, perfect. All right, so how fast is the Earth spinning?
Yeah.
Couple of 100,000 miles an hour.
Well, that's crazy. It's 1,000 miles an hour. Okay, but here's the thing: you have no idea. Whatever you did, it just made it worse. Now I have a longer echo. So it's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, which is faster than the speed of sound. We're orbiting. I'm assuming you don't know this speed. It's 66,600 miles an hour. Funny number, right? And we're chasing the sun at 500,000 miles per hour. And the program response that most people have is like, well, on an airplane, I could drink a glass of water, right? That's programmed because that was actually in your head. You were actually going to bring that up at some point. And the answer is, well, that's not really fair. If you want to compare the airplane just to the spin of the Earth, you have to remove the outside of the airplane. You have to double the speed, and you have to nosedive over 1 mile a minute. Okay, and then tell me how your water's doing. That's a lot
fast right there.
Yeah, and then tell me how your water's doing. Right, you have all of these motions, and we don't. Do you ever feel anything? Do you feel anything?
No.
You go outside and ask yourself, What's going on? Is the Earth moving?
I mean, I go outside and I don't feel anything. I just feel
Right.
myself walking on the ground.
Right. And it's perfectly stationary, just like you feel it. This is the hypersonic sled track. And I
Okay.
encourage people to, I have no sound. Um, it went by at Mach 8.6. Watch it again. Mach 8.6. All right. Ready?
Uh-huh.
Watch it. And it's shocking that this is the sound it makes, but Mach
Holy
8.6.
holy
Right.
shit. Yeah.
So you have to believe that we are orbiting the sun 10 times faster than this. We're chasing the sun 100 times faster than this. The whole big Earth with the water on the outside adjacent to a space vacuum. And we're not going straight. These are elliptical orbits. So we're speeding up and slowing down. We're spinning forward. When you're spinning forward, you're going 1,000 miles an hour faster. And now you're going 1,000 miles an hour slower because you're going away from the direction you're traveling. All of these are curved motions, right? Can you, like in a car, if you got a dinner plate and filled it with water to the brim, if that car
Hmm.
sped up, slowed down, or turned, what's going to happen?
The
It's
water's
going to
just gonna.
Right. But when we
Yeah.
go out in nature, we see this. Okay. What does this tell you? What does your common sense tell you and not your nonsense?
My common sense right now is showing me that the water is still. Looking at
Absolutely.
that photo, like the water is still.
It's 100% still because its container is still. Large bodies of water at rest need a container. Okay. So think about it. What does that mean? Like if you had a pool, a hot tub and I got rid of the hot tub, well, the water's gone, right? A pond. What's the container of the pond? What would be the container?
The surface of
No,
the earth.
the earth that's higher than the water. Because if the earth was lower than the water, the pond would run out until it found something to contain it. The
Correct.
land that surrounds the water is the container. A lake has a shoreline. That shoreline is consistently higher than the lake. If it was ever a piece was lower, the water would flow out, right? So
Hmm.
that's how our Earth is set up, right? We have we're in a container. So we'll get into that in a second. But what happens if that container moves? This is a pool, okay, during a minor earthquake,
Holy shit.
right? This is a
Yeah.
pool, and now that's just the Earth doing this, right?
Yeah. The tectonic plates shifting.
Just a little shake. I mean, you're standing there. I mean, think of the Earth spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, orbiting at 66,000, chasing at 500,000 miles an hour, and that entire system's moving sideways at another ridiculous speed. But this is an earthquake, just a tiny little earthquake, and water leaps out of its container,
Okay. Okay.
right? So that shows you what happens when that container moves, right?
Uh-huh. All right,
So,
that's making sense to me. That's now, mind you,
all
I'm
right,
still, thinking that this is what we're living on. But what you're telling me right now, that does make sense.
absolutely. So the so when you think of flat Earth, we've also been programmed to think of it in a completely different way. What is going on here? Sorry about that.
No problem.
Um, and that way is this a disc floating in space. This is a CNN reporter that recently did a hit piece on flat Earth. It's being promoted everywhere. This woman that wrote this book, Over the Edge or whatever. It's all none of it's stuff that flat earthers believe. It's all straw man arguments. They talk about Mad Mike Hughes. I don't know how long you've been looking into this flat Earth thing, but do you hear about the daredevil that was trying to prove the curve of the Earth by jumping up in a rocket and he
The
killed
Red Bull guy.
himself?
No, I don't know
No,
about
not
that
no,
one.
no, no. That's the Red Bull's different. So whatever. But the news ran with it that he was trying to prove flat Earth. He wasn't. He had a billboard that some flat earthers got him funded, and they said, "Hey, put a sign on your rocket that says research flat Earth." The guy's jumping 1,800 feet. There's buildings higher than 1,800 feet. All right, he was going for a world record. Getting off track. So how is we were talking about how the world is set up.
Hmm.
So here is I am just all over the place today. Here is this is the best map that we have. We don't
Okay.
know what the exact map is, but this is what pilots use. This is what that they've used for many years. This was in all the libraries and all the schools until somewhere in the mid 1900s they removed it. because they didn't want people knowing that here is our container. This is the shoreline of our world. That's Antarctica. Okay.
So let me ask you this, Dave.
Go ahead.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm in my 50s.
You're in your 50s. All right.
Yeah.
When at what age did you like find this truth?
2015, 16, somewhere around there. And I didn't come into it. I went into it. You got an open mind. You're willing to have this conversation. When I heard about it, I went kicking and screaming. I banned people from our social media. I had a comedy conspiracy podcast, and I was like, "You're too stupid to listen to my podcast," and I banned them, right? Because they're asking me to look into flat Earth. How stupid is that? You know, a disc floating in space. We're not a disc floating in space. We live here in the Antarctic basin. If you look up what's the highest land on Earth,
Oh,
Antarctica is the highest land on Earth.
really?
Yes. Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. Why is it at the bottom of a ball, right? They want us to believe Antarctica is at the bottom of a spinning ball. I always found that very, very strange.
Yeah.
Why is Antarctica at the bottom of a ball? And I was like, well, because it's heavier, because it's taller. That's why it's at the bottom. Ridiculous. So this is what they want us to believe, right? But we live in the Antarctic basin, right? Like this. Bam. This is where we live. And this pink line is far, far from getting there. And it's 60 degrees south. No one's allowed to cross over that, right? No one's
Oh,
allowed to cross over that. They in 1959, 1950s, they were exploring Antarctica. Admiral Byrd went out there and said, "There's more land filled with resources that no human has ever set eyes upon." And then the United Nations or whoever it was, they're like, "Nobody can go there." And all the countries in the world signed on, and no one is allowed to go there. Since 1959, the treaty's been in effect. You can't even question it until the year 2041. Longest lasting treaty in history.
so
All
so
these
so
countries
what?
are fighting each other for everything, but they all of a sudden they all agree nobody can go to Antarctica.
So what's the reasoning, like, why they can't go there? Like, what why are we not?
Oh,
Because like
because so the reason. Yeah,
their
sorry,
research groups, their research groups down there,
there
they
are.
have, they're, you know, people, countries running experiments, doing whatever field work they can
Yeah,
out there.
yeah.
And I mean, I see it on TikTok, I see it on all the socials. There are people down there in Antarctica. So
Well,
why would there be a treaty that would not allow others to go?
so there's very few people in Antarctica. If you spent a ton of money, 10, 30, $50,000, whatever, you get to go just to that little peninsula. Um, and they never let you they barely let you off the boat, and no one's allowed to explore out here, right? All of the bases in Antarctica, they're right here, right on the friggin' shore, right there. What's out here, right? You've seen the National Geographics where we're doing these ice cores. Well, there
Hmm.
was a whistleblower that came out of there that said, "Oh, we don't. That's not the ice. We just when film crews come, that we look at the regular ice, but we do this other thing called sky ice. Sky
What's sky
ice.
ice?
It's this sky blue ice that doesn't melt. It just evaporates. It just shrinks and
Okay.
disappears and
So
doesn't leave a
kind of
puddle.
like dry ice in a sense.
Well, it shrinks. I don't know if it vaporizes, right? I don't know.
Okay.
But I'll show you where you can see some videos on that. But the reason that, so they said, the reason that they said in the 1950s, 1959, we have to protect the ice. It's the last undisturbed, unpolluted area on Earth, and we have to protect the penguins. But meanwhile,
Always got to protect the penguins.
They're whaling down there, killing whales for oil. Okay, the environmentalism wasn't even a word. And back then, and now, just go deforest the Amazon. That's fine. Just don't walk on the ice. Okay. The reason that you can't go to Antarctica is because you might figure out how the world is. You might figure out what's going on with the world. So
So you're telling me that right now, okay, I'm in Florida, you're in wherever, and all of us were actually surrounded by Antarctica.
point in any direction. That's south. That's south. That's south. How can that be? Well, let's look at how the flat Earth works. All right. And this is one of the things that got me. So here's our Earth. At the center, we have our magnetic North Pole. I got a magnet here. And this is a
Okay.
compass. And if you
Hmm.
look, the needle is pointing towards the center. I'm trying to push this compass, this boat, west, but I have to keep turning to the north to maintain a heading of 270 degrees west because that
Okay.
needle has to point to the center. Well, this doesn't prove the Earth is flat because it's the same on a globe Earth. Now I'm going 90 degrees east, but I gotta keep turning. East and west are circles around a magnetic north. That's all east and west are. Like if you went to your yard and pointed at a tree straight off, and then you tried to walk that way, but always point at the tree, that's your north arm, you'd walk right around and come right back to where you started from. Now watch, I'm trying to go straight without correcting. I started off going west and I'm heading
Right.
south. Look, away from north is south. Away
Away from
from
north
north
to
is
south.
south. Away from north is south. Every direction is south. Now, here's something. This is something that could determine if we were on a globe. If we're on a globe, you should be able to go south and pop up over on the other side because you
Uh,
can go underneath and pop
exactly.
up.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever done it. No one's ever gone from Santiago and come up in Australia. No one's ever done it. Now I'm going north, north, north. And as soon as I pass the north, what direction am I going?
You're going south.
I'm going south. The compass just did a 180 and I'm heading south. Okay. Large bodies of water at rest lay flat, testably, measurably, scientifically, provably flat on a physical ball. We're required to have a physical horizon, right? So
Okay.
here's my ball, and if my fingernail was a boat and I went over the horizon, like Bill Nye said,
Mm-hmm.
up, I'm going behind the horizon, a physical horizon right here. And if I zoomed in, doesn't change anything. I'm behind a physical horizon, right?
Yeah.
If we lived on a ball, that would be true. However, it doesn't work that way. The way our vision works is if you look at I go out on a cumulus cloud day, spread out cumulus clouds. They're all sitting there, and the ones above your head are 5, 10,000 feet above your head, but the ones 20, 30 miles away literally look like they're touching the horizon due to perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
You with me on
Yeah.
perspective?
Well,
And
yeah.
and so where that sky meets the ground, that's the limit of your vision. Now, on a flat earth, if you zoomed in, you can then make whatever's back there bigger, and then you can see farther until it goes together. So this is how, whoops, that's not what I wanted. Sorry about that.
No problem.
When we're looking, you see the same distance in all directions, and that's where the sky meets the ground. And it makes kind of a curve, right? So
And
if I
that's
draw,
literally what I was about to ask you right now. Like when you have climbers that go up Mount Everest and they get to that very top and they say they can see the curve of the earth. What
they
is it that
can't.
they're actually seeing?
They can't. They're seeing this is at best they're seeing, if it's perfectly clear in all directions, the limit of the horizon is curved. This is a curve on a flat surface, and then they draw a line in their mind's eye across it, and they see the curve of a ball because they can't see there. So let me show you where is it? I had
Now, I'm
I
going to
always
tell you, Dave. Like you're
okay.
making a lot of sense.
Right.
I'm the,
Thank you.
I'm not coming in here spectacle or ready to fight you, but like I'm coming in with an
No.
open mind, and it's honestly like it's making some
Well,
sense right now.
we've only just begun. So let's just go a little farther. So here we go. So here's an example. There's nothing out here. There's no boat out here. But as you go farther out, everything, the sky merges with the horizon, right? The sky
Yeah.
merges with the horizon. And then if I had a super zoom camera and I zoomed in and I made it bigger again, all of a sudden you can see there's a boat there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I would watch. Now I'm going to zoom out and that boat's going to disappear from the bottom up. And then it's going to be gone. Now we know that it's not going over the curve because the boat's stationary. I'm just zooming out, which is the same
Yeah.
as the
Yeah.
boat
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
away. It's gone. You can't see it. A globe will go, that's because it's over the curb. No, it's not. I just showed you that our horizon is optical, not physical as required on a ball. A 6 foot, a ball the size that they tell us it is, 24,901 miles around, requires a 6 foot tall person to see a physical horizon over flat water, over
Mhm.
calm water at 3 miles away. But we can see much farther. We can see
Okay.
things documented way, way farther,
I
way,
mean,
way farther.
that's a hell of a camera. Whoever's camera that is that went out that far, that's a hell of a camera right there.
Well, the Nikon came out with the P900 and now the P1000, and you can zoom in on things that should be dozens, hundreds of feet over the curve, way over the curve.
So
Okay.
stepping outside the spectrum right here, and I
Yeah.
want to come back to this immediately. So
Sure.
I've been into astrology since as far back as I can remember. I got my first
Astrology.
I
That's
got my first telescope when I was 10,
astronomy.
and
You mean?
astronomy. Sorry, astronomy.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
I had respect for just a second, but go ahead.
Astronomy, and I looked through my telescope, and uh I would see the moon, and I see a circle, and then
A circle or a sphere?
I would see a circle because that's what it's being presented to me through the telescope. I see
Like my
something
table's a circle over here. So my table's a sphere or a circle?
sphere,
Is it
circle. I'm
well
not the smartest guy when it comes
well
to that.
a circle is a circle. A pizza is a circle.
Yes,
A basketball is a sphere,
it's a
but you can
sphere.
look at it from a distance and say it's a circle, but it's
Hmm.
really a sphere. A sphere is a ball.
Yeah.
This
So
is
yeah,
a
okay.
sphere.
So looking
This
through
is
the
a sphere.
telescope, I see the sphere of the moon. I
Yeah.
see Mars coming in as a sphere.
Yeah.
I see other planets coming in as a sphere.
Yeah.
Would the Earth, let's say I was on Mars and I was looking towards Earth, would I see a sphere, or what would I see if I were looking from outward in?
Can I ask you another quick question before I answer that? If I put you in a Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner cartoon, would you be concerned that Roadrunner would kill you? Because that question it is as realistic as your question. Once you
Correct. Yeah.
understand what we're talking about, Mars is not a place. Mars is something that Disney and NASA showed you, and NASA is Disney's more credible than NASA. So, first question is: you have lights in your ceiling in your room where you are right now?
Yes.
Look up at those lights. Tell me what shape they are.
Uh, they're tubes.
They're tubes. So is
They're
your floor a
fluorescent
tube?
lighting.
Is your floor a tube?
No, my floor is a flat
Flat.
surface, a carpet.
All right. Do you ever play pool?
Yes,
Pool? What shape are the balls?
they are spheres.
So
They're
the
balls.
table must be a sphere also.
The table is a rectangle, a flat rectangle.
Well, it's flat. It's not spherical. So the point is, I don't care what shape the moon is. It has nothing to do with the floor that we're standing on. There's no
Okay.
correlation. They try to make a correlation like men walked on the moon. I'm assuming if you believe that we went to the moon, that you just haven't looked. Okay. Okay. These are four moons here. Is that a sphere?
I see a sphere.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a sphere because you're only seeing half of it. How about this one? Is this one a sphere?
It's a half sphere. It's cut in half. Yeah.
It's a half sphere. Or is it flat?
Oh wow.
How about this one? Is it flat? Sphere?
That that looks flat to me.
That one looks flat. Oh, it's a cup.
Oh
Okay.
shoot.
Here's my point. If you can't touch it, you can't, you don't know what shape and size it is. These tables, same width and same size,
They look different.
they
They
look
look,
different. They're exactly the same. Even if I show you this, your mind can't reconcile it. So, claiming the shape of something in the sky that is scientifically provably not what they tell us, is no way to dictate the shape of the floor. Do you know what the inverse square law of light is? Because I didn't when I was asked, so don't feel bad.
I do not. I can't say that I
Okay.
do, Dave.
Um, so have you ever gone in the middle of nowhere, no city lights, where the moon is a full moon?
Yes.
Um, and can you read a book if you had to
It'd
on a
be
clear night?
on a
A
clear
clear
night,
night, yeah, clear
possibly.
night. It's casting a shadow on the ground. So every time you get halfway to a distance of a light, it gets four times brighter. It's called the inverse square law of light. It's simple, four times brighter. So if the moon was 1 lumen, I'm just making an easy number. You went halfway to the moon, it's 4 lumens. You went halfway to it again, it's 16 lumens, and it's 16 lumens. Halfway again, it's 64 lumens, right? And by the time you get to 100 miles from the moon, the number is so friggin' ridiculous. It would make what the brightness we look at the noon sun be weak compared to what it would be. But again, we have astronauts on the moon that, the moon is a dusty, dirty ball. How is that light from a dusty, dirty ball coming all the way back to Earth and casting a shadow on the ground and letting you drive a car or read? Okay. How is that possible?
Then
Right?
where does the arguments or the theories that the moon control the waves of the tides and the waves?
Well, so for now we're getting into gravity and whatnot. But here's the official story of the moon and the tides.
Okay.
So if my head was the moon And on a full moon, you have bigger tides when there's a full moon. We got a high tide here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But at the same time, there's a high tide over here, which is 12 hours away. There's a high tide and low tide every 6 hours. High tide, low tide, high tide. There's another high tide on this side of the earth here. You see it?
Yeah.
This bulge of water.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the official explanation. So we got the earth and we got the moon, right? I don't know if I could do this. It's all backwards for me. I'm just going to explain it. All right. It's saying that the gravity from the moon is pulling the water away from the earth, creating a bulge 14 miles high at the equator. This is what it's saying. But the high tide. That's actually I'm mixing topics because they're both so ridiculous. I'm actually confused them. High tide is pulling the gravity is pulling the water away from the earth, and the official explanation why there's another high tide on the other side is because the gravity of the moon is pulling the earth away from the water.
Say that one more time. Say that one more time.
It's absolutely retarded. If my head was the moon, I'm pulling the water away from the earth, creating a high tide. At the same time, the gravity from my moon head is pulling the earth away from the water on the other side, creating a high tide on the other side.
Okay.
And the earth is rotating in between them. Can you believe this stuff? But when you actually go look at tides and you actually look around the earth and look at tide charts, there's all of these areas that there's no tides. In the north, there's super high tides, like 30-foot tides. And at the equator, at the Maldives, there's no tide. You know, the Maldives are only like a foot or 2 feet over the water and they don't flood. Okay. Mm-hmm. Also, think about this. You got the moon and the sun, right? So you got the moon. So if my head was the earth, you got the moon here. It's creating a high tide. Well, when the sun's over here, should be a super high tide, right? Because both of them are pulling on the water, right? Makes sense?
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense.
But that's when the moon and the sun and the earth are arranged like this, we don't see a moon. It's called a new moon, and there's no light on the moon because it's supposedly lit on the backside. Well, that should be the highest tide. That's not when the highest tide is. This is when the highest tide is, when there's a full moon. But it's opposed to the sun. Okay? That's when there's the highest tides. I think that the tides have to do with the electric charge of the sun and the moon. They're small. They're here. They're within the Earth system, right? But when you actually look, there's no correlation to tides other than when there's a full moon, a powered up moon, there's higher tides.
So we just got a comment from Globebusters right here saying it's all because gravity is not what you think it is.
100%. So thanks, Bob. I meant that in a nice way too.
So yeah, like, okay, so the statement there being said that it's all because gravity is not what you think it is.
So let's get into gravity for just a couple of seconds here.
Let's do it.
So the sun and the moon are the anode and the cathode of the Earth battery system. The salt water carries the currents. Isn't it interesting that only salt water has tides and fresh water doesn't?
That's okay.
And the land is the salt bridge, if you know how a battery works. So you have this free energy system. The Earth has a negative charge to it. The Earth does not move. So that negative charge, positive and negatives attract, right? Mm-hmm. And the sky, the air has a positive charge to it. So anything that you lift up off the ground is surrounded in that positive field. And the Earth goes, well, I'm not moving. You come here. And it makes us a light attraction, just like they say gravity. They say gravity is a weak force. Okay. So down is this way. That's it. And then buoyancy and density sort themselves out. If I had a handful of of marbles, ping pong balls, a helium balloon, and I held them over a pool and I opened my hand, the helium's going to go up because it's less dense than the air around it.
Mm-hmm.
The marbles and the ping pong balls are going to fall because they're more dense. The ping pong balls are going to sit on top of the water, and the marbles are going to go to the bottom because one's less dense and more dense than the water. Buoyancy and density sort themselves out. And
get yourself some water, Dave. Get yourself some water, Dave.
Yeah. And I'm good. My voice falls apart from talking so much. So let's look at this is an interesting one. So here is helium balloons, and they're holding up this wire, which just has a little little cap in it or whatever, and it's hooked up to a Van de Graaff generator, which is putting a positive charge into this. So we're cranking a positive charge, and watch what happens when it just becomes a little more positively charged.
Oh shit.
It goes down, and then when we discharge it, discharge, and it goes up.
Wow.
Now, what is that? That's evidence that is helping us. Here's a tinfoil thing that we crank some negative charge into. Bam, goes up.
What the
No,
hell?
I think the military now is saying they have an airplane. I have to look into it. I heard about it the other day that has no moving parts. It's using electrostatic forces to fly.
So I'll ask a question that like the general public is probably asking right now. Like, why
Why the
why
lie?
convince the world? Why convince the masses that what we live on is a sphere?
Well, why the lie? That's a good one. First of all, let me say who's lying. The people that we see are these people: the World Economic Forum, Bilderberg Group, Council on Foreign Relations. All of these are the people that run the world. It's a unelected corporatocracy, whatever it's called, that's running the world right now. So, quick question: what is your belief in a creator? Are you religious? Do you believe a creator? Are you an atheist? What's your
I consider myself agnostic. That there's no scientific proof to show that there is a creator, but I feel as an individual that intelligent design was behind the creation of the universe.
Well, once you understand that the Earth is intelligently designed, that it's not from a Big Bang, the Big Bang. Once upon a time, there was nothing. It exploded, became everything. Then the rocks turned into rocky balls, and the gases turned into bigger, giant, more solid, you know, more gravitational gaseous balls, leaving a vacuum. Okay, a vacuum in between, and and they're burning in space. How do you have a vacuum? How do you have a vacuum
Burning
with
in space.
burning in
Oh,
space without think about it, right? What happens when you
yeah, it
put
turns hot.
a container? The now is all the air out of there? No, just the oxygen.
Yeah. Oh, stand by, Dave. We lost signal. Kind of went low. Stand by. Stand by. I'm gonna try something. Hold on one sec. Let me try this again. We might have lost Dave. Give me one sec as I work frantically to make sure he's still there. Uh Dave, you there? Oh, hopefully the feds didn't shut us down. That was strange. We're literally just talking and then boom, we just lost him. I still have him on the feed. It could be a networking issue. We're trying to pull through. Now here's the thing. Uh Whoever's watching right now, I'm just gonna say it like this. I feel I've since I've been little, I've been taught that the world is a globe. It's spinning in space. We're going around the sun. We're constantly going through spinning through space. Uh, I've heard the theory of flat Earth all the time, but to me, it's been thrown at me as a joke, like oh, he's a flat earther. He's a flat earther. I take it with a grain of salt because I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe I don't know everything that this guy knows. Maybe I don't have all the facts that this guy has. And so far, look, I'm sitting here and I'm not questioning him. Dave is throwing me some pretty smart stuff. Now, mind you, I'm not the most intelligent guy in the room. I don't have a degree in science. I don't have a degree in anything like that. But I just want to stay open minded to this topic. And right now, hopefully, Dave is friendly going through his system to reboot and restart his computer. And then he'll be joining us in a few minutes. But yeah, thank you guys for watching so far. Hopefully, just stay on with me as I babble on a little bit. Yeah, dude, I've always been the kind of person to just listen to people because you don't know everything. No one in this world knows everything, and I'd love to absorb as much information as possible from everywhere. And Dave has some pretty cool facts. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm sitting here like I can't wait to rewatch this episode and listen to it again because he's throwing some knowledge out there. And I'm not. I'm still saying that I'm not convinced. I'm not saying that there's still a globe here. but there's still a lot of evidence that needs to be shown. There's still a lot of facts that need to be confirmed and everything before we all start screaming, flat Earth or round globe. I live day by day with the information and knowledge that I get given to from everybody throughout the world and throughout my little circle. And so far, this is a really really interesting conversation, and I am praying to whatever higher powers out there. Like, I want Dave to come back. I really do, and I'm hoping he does. In the meantime, hold on, who we got right here? Open minded. Your open mind is your greatest asset. Yeah, no, thank you. I try to stay positive. The theme of the show is to put a magnifying glass on the world to show that Orlando is more than just theme parks. I talk to the creative, the diverse, the talent all over Central Florida that gets overlooked because of a mouse. And today I'm talking to someone who is completely not in Florida and is throwing me some stuff that gets kind of pushed aside because people are programmed to think that this is how it is. And I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm one of those individuals that thinks this is how it is. But right now, from what Dave is telling me, it's pretty pretty understanding and pretty convincing. I'm not gonna lie. And let me see if hopefully we're gonna give Dave a few more minutes to hopefully come back. But yeah, no, my thing has always been, if you're not laughing, you're not living. You got to live every day to the fullest. So like, I have zero time to take in any negativity. I got zero time to take in, just shit talkers. Do I got some haters? Hell yeah. But hey, keep on bringing the hate, because I'm still going to be talking on the mic. And what does Ah, Zach. Okay, good question, because Dave did ask me this at the very beginning. So it does say made in Taiwan, but it does not say anything in regards to educational purposes only or anything like that. Oh, we got him back. We got him back. Stand by.
What happened?
I have no idea. I think the lizard people shut us down, bro.
I would just go to some technical flaw. No conspiracy here. No conspiracy here.
So yeah, we were talking about how the cup stops the oxygen from feeding the fire, and the fire slowly dies out.
Right. So in the gravitational world, if their gravity holding the air to the earth worked, I could suck all the air out of the room from below this cup, and the air in the cup would stay because gravity's holding it in. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's retarded. Okay? That's the dumbest thing ever, but that's the official that's what would have to happen in their world.
Okay.
Globers throw out such nonsense that I offer 3 Bitcoins for one proof of the globe, and no one's claimed it yet.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
We got James chiming in saying, how many flat surfaces does it take to make a sphere?
7. 7 flat surfaces make a perfect sphere, just so you know.
But yeah, I never thought about it like that in regards to like the vacuum of space, and you got a big ball of fire in the center of it.
Makes no sense. None of it.
Huh.
It breaks every law of thermodynamics, every law of common sense. It's absolute insanity. So getting back to why the lie.
Yes, why the lie?
Yeah, why the lie? Because it's all about control. Are you a fan of the movie The Matrix with Keanu Reeves?
Oh, heck yeah.
Right. So that's pretty much a documentary. They have everybody in this simulation, in this system, that they don't know where they are. They don't know who they are. They don't know what they are, and they're harvesting their energy. This is a spiritual war that we're in. It sounds crazy, but they need us to create their world, because they don't want us to know that we have these manifestation abilities. They want us to believe Big Bang happened, all the stars formed, we're flying through space, an asteroid could take us out at any moment. That's fear. Well, that's not real. Okay. Sun's going to supernova one day. Not real. It's fear, right? That we're running out of food and water. Untrue. There's infinite water and infinite food, right? You can take a seed, I don't care how old it is, stick it into the dirt, water will fall out of the sky, and food will come out of the ground. Okay? There's just people don't understand how the world works. I mean, if everybody just put a garden in their front yard, there'd be so much wasted produce, it'd be unbelievable. Because
I got a
nobody.
coconut tree and mango tree in my office.
There you go. So they don't want us to know where we are. They don't want us to know that nobody has power over us, that nobody has control over us other than in our imagination, right?
Now I will say this because, like, yeah, growing up as a child, I grew up Catholic, and if I was doing something wrong, or if, my mother and my grandma would always say, like, Jesus is always watching. You always want to be good for Jesus. Where are you going to be when Jesus comes back? And yeah, that drives the
I
masses.
look at it I look at it a different way that they're hiding free energy. They're hiding more land. They're hiding the fact that we have our free will. They're hiding the fact that our thoughts actually create our reality, right? I
Hmm.
heard that years ago and I'm like, "Oh, come on." Right? And then I saw this thing about a vision board. You know what a vision
Oh
board
yeah,
is?
yeah.
So I made a vision board and I
Shout
put
out to my
crazy
friend Danny who showed me what vision
yeah.
boards are.
I put some crazy things on it. Like I want to be the CEO of my own company. It's like, how am I going to have my own company, let alone be the CEO? I don't even know what a CEO does. Right. 5 years later, I remembered about my vision board when I was sitting in my office at the company that I started and balancing the books. I'm like, holy crap, I'm the CEO of my own company. Right. Then I dug out my vision board and everything I put on it had come true. I wish I had written some other things. Um, so they don't want you to know the power of your mind. And here's the thing: um, flat earthers are never bored because this place is so friggin' interesting. You don't need live vision programming. Okay, you don't need any of that, right? Let's back up a little bit to um what are some possibilities on the flat earth, okay? So, do you believe in extraterrestrials, aliens?
Like, going back to contact, if we're the only ones here, it's an awful waste of space.
If there's that amount of space. But think about this. The distances they have to come from to get here, if they're on planets that are going around other suns, which are the stars that we see,
Hmm.
the closest one is Alpha Centauri. It's 25 trillion miles away. If you were 25 trillion miles, if you were traveling a mile a second, it would take you 25 trillion seconds to get there, right? Right?
That's
Do
a
you know how
long damn
long
time.
do you know how long 1 trillion seconds is?
How long is 1 trillion seconds?
31,000 years.
Holy shit.
Okay? The closest star is 25 times farther than a trillion miles, okay? And that's if you're flying at ridiculous speeds. And then aliens are going to come here and they're going to look like us and they've evolved like us. What if the world was set up something like this? Here we are. Water lays flat. All of the
Uh-huh.
continents are surrounded by water. All of the water has this Antarctica around it.
Okay.
And out here, beyond Antarctica, is more ocean and extra territory, extra land,
Huh.
extra terra. Think about this extra terra. If you lived on the extra terra and you came in to visit me, what might I consider you?
You're extraterrestrial.
And where did you come from?
X
The
X.
outer space,
Oh.
inner space, the outer space. And they're just a couple thousand miles away, not trillions and trillions of miles to a space vacuum, an impossible, scientifically impossible space vacuum.
So I want to stop you real quick, Dave, because James put up here, according to that Tyson guy. Now, here's the thing: I I love Neil deGrasse Tyson. I've read a
Oh
couple of his
boy.
books, and I've been emailing him this question for, I think, like 8 years now, and I'm not getting a
And
response.
if it's why don't you talk to Dave Weiss or any of the other real flat earthers, he's never going to answer that because he
So
can't.
I want to ask you this one question because like I said, I've had this in my mind for years, and I've gone to his lectures. I've tried to get him to answer this question, and maybe you can
Oh, I'll
answer it,
answer it
Dave.
for you. I'll answer it for you. Go ahead. Bring it.
All right, so this is like a little a crazy cosmic query in a sense. Have you ever seen the movie
Of
Spaceballs?
course.
Okay, so you remember at the end where Mega Maid comes up to the planet and starts sucking up all the air.
Okay.
Yeah, it comes with like that big vacuum and tries to suck up all the oxygen from the planet. Okay.
Yeah. Cool
If they
story.
say if they state that that space itself is a vacuum, if we were to have a hose or a pipe from the surface of the earth all the way through the atmosphere into the vacuum of space, would the vacuum of space suck up Earth's air and oxygen?
Would Roadrunner kill you if I stuck you in the cartoon?
Ah! I know it's a hypothetical. I know it could not
It's
happen.
a hypothetical. It's like it can't happen
It
because
can't
it's
happen.
not that way. But the answer is if you had a vacuum, like if the second floor, if the room above you was a chamber, airtight, and you sucked all of the air out of it, and then you poked a hole in the ceiling, what's going to happen to the air in your room? You know what's going to happen. It's going to equalize instantly, right?
Yeah.
I believe it's called we have a NASA has a vacuum chamber, and it can't even make the vacuum as strong as the vacuum of space, which is a Tor 17, which is like the pure vacuum. It's only like a Tor 10, maybe just over half as strong. And
Hmm.
the walls are 10 feet thick, steel and concrete. Okay. So it
Yeah.
doesn't implode from the air pressure difference. Are you kidding me? Right.
Huh.
And so if you think that a vacuum above you isn't going to get connected with a hose, isn't going to suck all the air off, yes, it would. Right? He will never answer that question because he can't answer that question.
Wow.
Okay?
Dave, you
Yeah.
just blew my mind. You really have. You really have, dude. I've had that stupid question for possibly over 10 years now. And I never knew how to like it was just sat in the back of my head.
Here's the answer. You knew the answer. How do you drink liquid out of a cup with a straw? Okay? You create lower pressure higher above it, and it pulls water up in a way, let alone the air. Air is even, you can take barely a unmeasurable difference in pressure in your mouth and the outside air will pull air up, right? How
Yeah.
hard is it to drink liquid,
Just
right?
yeah.
Right, right. And the answer, the stories that they give for, oh, it's a pressure gradient, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter until it's nothing. Well, it doesn't work that way, right? It doesn't work that way. If you have a tank of air on the bottom, it'll be thicker and heavier, and it'll be lighter and lighter inside that container. You can't have pressure without a container. You need a container.
Mm.
So I don't believe space is a vacuum. I do believe we're in a container. A lot of people believe we're in a container because you need a container to be adjacent to a vacuum. I don't believe space is a vacuum. I believe space is liquid. Okay. And all evidence shows that we are in some sort of container. Is it frozen ice? Is it glass? Is it diamonds? Is it energetic? I don't know. Right. The answer is in Antarctica, but they won't let us go there, which is interesting itself. There's 100 different companies that you can take a very, very expensive 3-day vacation, charter, where they basically just show you some penguins and some ice and they kick you out. But they're all owned by the same company. They're all
Really?
owned. 100 different competing companies are all owned by the same guy. Why does one guy have 100 different tour companies to Antarctica?
Monopolizing on the
No,
on the
it's
business?
because controlling the business, controlling it. Are you familiar with my app?
You did send it to me. You did send it to me, and right
Yeah.
beforehand, you were telling me something really interesting about the app.
Oh, because your life situation.
Yeah.
So I'll spill the beans right here. You had a recent breakup. We'll just call it that. And
Yes.
and uh, and you're wondering where the smart, intelligent, brilliant, beautiful women are. They're here.
There you go. Boom.
They're
Tell
here.
me about it,
So
Dave.
this is the Flat Earth Friend Finder. It's loading, and you can tap on a dot, see who the person is, and every single dot on here, whether it's male or female, is an awake, aware, smart person that has unplugged from the matrix, the heliocentric system. They've unplugged from it, and they see the world. Fascinating people. When I went to Flattoberfest, every single
That's
person
what I
I
want to
met.
know about Flattoberfest. What is
So
that?
yeah, wait. So just real quick, you could tap on here, and I can message. I can message this person, right? Bam.
Uh-huh.
I could, and you get, and if they had their profile filled out, I would be able to click on their profile. But I can also send a group message. Like if I set it to 50 kilometers,
I'm
it's
literally
gonna,
downloading it as we speak.
yeah. So 50 kilometers, I can send a message to 322 people all at
That
once. Hey,
oh,
I'm
that's
having a
cool.
meetup April 2nd in outside of New York City. Um, and then boom, everybody shows up. And so we're using this technology to bring us together. The elite want to divide and conquer because when we come together, we're way more powerful. Our minds together, like the Maharaji effect, when
Hmm.
people think and focus together, it becomes super powerful. And the elite don't want that. They divide us by countries, religions, sexes, races, sports teams. Divide, divide, divide. That's all they're doing. All right. So I was going to show you. I was going to go somewhere else on this. I forget what it was. What was your other question?
Um, wow, I kind of lost it right now. No, because I was just showing you like I was downloading it on my phone as we speak
Right.
right now.
So just real quick, if you hit the web button, top right, up come all of these. Actually, I didn't want the web button. I wanted the question mark button, and that brings you to the frequently asked questions. Antarctica, right over here. You hit that, and
Uh
up
huh.
will come all the videos that YouTube won't serve you when you ask for them on Antarctica. You could say Antarctica sky ice. You're not going to get it, right? Antarctica, whatever. If you write anything with flat Earth in it, you get propaganda. You get the same nonsense. You could type "A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth," which is a very popular video, and
Hmm.
it'll give you all of the um, Strawman Dan and Professor Dave, these guys that are out there purposely putting out disinformation, gaslighting us, and strawmanning us. It's complete total nonsense. But here are the videos. Watch that. Just this Antarctica one. That will turn you into a the Earth isn't a globe guy 100%. Coriolis effect. Ships over the horizon. I showed you that. If you hit the
Yeah.
ships over the horizon, one of my favorites because that's the one that got me. When I heard about ships over the horizon, I was like, I got to verify this myself. Went out and I bought that camera and the tripod, and I zoomed in on things. I'm like, that's impossible. All right, but these videos here are amazing, and they teach you what you weren't taught in school. They teach you about perspective and how things work. Amazing stuff. So many resources in here. I'm adding new stuff every day. I just added a moon landing button on the bottom right
I'm
there.
gonna have to look that up. I'm gonna have to look
Yeah,
that up. Oh man.
yeah, tons of stuff. Interviews. My interviews are all here. You're actually. If I click it right now, watch this. Look at the top one,
Oh
right there.
snap.
Bam,
Oh,
right there in
that's
the app.
awesome.
Yeah, and it's live. Um, so the app does a lot of things, and it shows you how seasons work. Right. The
Hmm.
sun and the moon migrate in between these two yellow lines. When it's out here, it's summer for Australia, and when it's in here, it's summer for the inner north.
That's wild.
Right? And check us out. If you're so these are the Tropic of Capricorn
Hmm.
is the outer one, and the Tropic of Cancer is the inner one. What would you call all of the land in between the tropics? The tropics, because this is where all the warm places are. Why? Because the sun migrates. I'm
With
gonna
it.
move it a month at a time. It migrates 6 months in. So in June, it's over the tropic of going on. When in June it's over the Tropic of Cancer, that's why it's super hot in Miami. It's super
Hmm.
hot in California because the sun is directly over them. It's colder in Australia, in Santiago. But 6 months later, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the sun will go all the way out and it's far away from us and it's warmer in the outer south, right? If you're standing outside under a streetlight, that's your summer sun, and the streetlight down the road is your winter sun. It's the same height in the sky, but it's lower. It's
That's
lower
wild.
and it's
Dave,
farther away. You want to hear
Dave,
an
I got
insult to injury? Insult to injury. All right, do we have to end or do we have a couple minutes?
ooh, you have all the time in the world, sir. I'm going
All right.
off of your schedule.
All right. So insult to injury is they tell us during our winter the sun is 3.5 million miles closer to us on the heliocentric model.
Hmm.
When in reality, it's down the road, like that streetlight, farther away, lower in the sky. Okay,
Okay.
absolute. That's absolute insanity once you understand. Every summer morning, At sunrise, it should be arctically cold because the sun is the lowest it could possibly be, the worst tilt, and it's warm. It's because
So
it's close.
let me ask you this, Dave. I'm not trying to discredit NASA. I'm not trying to destroy them.
Oh, I am. Go ahead.
My question is, when they go up in their rocket, where are they going? What's happening or what's going
Who's
on?
who's going up in what rocket?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I was just at
Have
the
you ever watched? Have you ever watched a NASA rocket? I mean, have you watched any of this stuff?
I was on NASA property about 3 weeks ago,
Okay.
watching the Atlas V going up with I guess some
Did
satellite
it
for
do this?
weather.
Did it do this?
It curved, yeah,
It
it curved.
curved out and crashed into the ocean in the Bermuda Triangle where there's no boats. Okay.
Okay,
That's only when they actually launch something. There's no such thing as satellites falling around the earth. You know who the largest consumer of helium is and who owns all of the world's helium companies?
the clowns that fill it up for the balloons.
NASA.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Okay.
Okay.
NASA launches tens of thousands of satellite balloons. They call them satelloons, right?
Is that information available on your app?
Absolutely. If you go to the frequently asked questions, what about satellites? And all the videos are there. But here's them launching this satellite from a balloon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and I don't believe that they're doing the things that they tell us they're doing. I mean, all of the communications are done with undersea cables, right?
Okay.
Right. So there goes the satellite, right? Boom. That's a satellite, and they can keep them up there, and they can control them by changing their height into different wind currents and keep them wherever they want. And there's
So
tens of thousands of these things up there, rather than this. Remember that corkscrewing, crazy spiraling Earth I told you about that I showed you?
yes,
How
yes.
are all of these things mimicking all of those motions? Gravity. Take
That
gravity.
I'm not an engineer. I'm not a mathematician. I can't explain that, nor can I give
And
an answer.
neither can a mathematician or an engineer. Nobody can.
So so here's a wilder question. So you're telling me that the supposed mission to Mars, like, do we have a rover out there looking all across the surface of the red planet, or is that a Hollywood production?
Space is made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Nobody has ever gone up in a rocket. And if you look at the space shuttle, this one upsets a lot of people. This is a balloon. This orange tank is helium. This thing weighs 4.5 million pounds. Right now,
Mhm.
I'm going to stop this for a second. 4.5 million. And look, and they edit. They show these people right here. Okay, these
Yeah,
people are so far away. The thing is, they can barely see it, and it's behind trees anyway.
yeah.
Okay, this is edited. They're not there, but this is if you Google space shuttle launch, this is the video you get. It's highly edited. Okay, so now this thing weighs 4.5 million pounds. If you know anything about inertia, right?
Hmm.
Once something starts moving, it's not going to change directions, right? And so when this thing starts going, it bounces, kind of like it doesn't weigh anything, right? And I'm going to think about this. Have you ever been in a hurricane or a tornado?
Yes,
A tornado, maybe?
I've been through a hurricane and tornado touchdown like
Okay.
about half a mile from me.
And what did the tornado do? It basically shredded everything, right?
Yes,
A tornado, highest winds in a tornado are maybe 350 miles an hour. Is that right?
more or
Something like
less. Yeah.
that. Yeah, 350 mile an hour room temperature wind can take metal rods and tie them into knots and splinter trees into toothpicks. You've seen it,
Hmm.
right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, is the thrust that's coming out of this thing room temperature?
Of course not.
Okay. Would something heated would a hurricane, superheated hurricane be worse? Probably, right? It
Oh
would
no.
probably
Yeah.
it'd
Yeah.
cook everything at the same time. So now watch this. Okay. Oops. I had to play. That would help. So when this thing starts to go, look at this fence. The thrust that's coming out here, besides being superheated, besides going a little faster than 350 miles an hour, it's going over 17,500 miles an hour. What happens to this fence? Nothing.
Now,
This thing is lifting, and if you watched, it bounced.
I, s-
Okay,
I did see that. I
you saw the
did
bounce,
see.
right? This is a smoke show, and it rolls on its back because the lighter part is the orange blimp. Okay, and
Okay.
it
Okay.
goes downstream, and now I'm gonna just jump forward here. When it's way downstream here, and if you, I encourage you just Google space shuttle launch. And when these external solid rocket boosters come off, and they always tell us that they once they're lit, they can't turn them off. Well, one, they should shoot away because there's still thrust coming out of them. But you see that? That's the explosive bolts or whatever.
Yeah.
When you listen to the video, you see it and hear it at the same time. Now, this is 30 miles downrange. What's wrong with that? You see it and you hear it at the same time.
Yeah, and it takes time for the sound to come.
If it was 20 miles down and the sound was loud enough to travel 20 miles, it would take 90 seconds after you saw it. But we see it and we hear it at the same time. And this thing's supposed to be going thousands of miles an hour, right? Thousands of miles an hour, and these things are going thousands of miles an hour sideways. Okay, so this is where if you just really start thinking, you'll get it, and you'll be like, how come I never saw this before? Let me just pull up a different image here. So this is are you familiar with the SR-71 Blackbird, the spy
Yes.
plane?
Yes.
Um, I gotta find a place where I can put it where I would always remember where it is because now of course, that I'm looking for it, I can't find it.
You know,
Um,
I always wondered, like, when the booster rockets go off, there's this ring that comes from the fire. I notice this on every shuttle. I notice this from every shuttle launch. Like, I've always want to know, like, what's that ring? Like, it's about to come right when it ignites. There's a ring coming from the fire, and
it's just a stage show. This is just a friggin'
there,
stage.
that what
This
is
is
that?
this is just a stage show. It's just a light show. And look, edit, edit, edit. It's just edit. They never show you the same thing. So look, this thing can go Mach 3.2 times the speed of sound. Any faster, it starts to rip apart. The reason it's black is because it gets so hot from the friction, right? This thing has friction, even though
Hmm.
it's more aerodynamic than anything you've ever seen, that it can't have paint on it because the paint will burn off. Makes sense. They say it heats up
Yeah,
to
it
over
makes sense.
500 degrees. Okay. And it also expands, like it leaks fuel until it's going fast because it has to expand. They have to account for that. It's just insanity. Okay. This thing, which I would say is less aerodynamic than a regular passenger jet, goes Mach 25, Mach 20, Mach 30, Mach 33. This thing goes 10 times faster than this thing. And this thing is painted. And it's not aerodynamic.
It's not.
No. And if you look close, like this thing here, there's like PVC pipe coming down the side. It's the dumbest thing ever. Dumbest, dumbest
Dave,
crap ever.
Dave, that's like I living in Florida. I've seen so many rocket launches. You know,
All
from
right.
here
Look,
in
let me
Orlando, I see it
let me
go off.
throw one other thing. They do a little stage show when they bring the solid rocket booster to the launch pad. Sometimes they bring it on a big truck and they make a parade and they go through a whole bunch of towns and people see it and they clap and maybe they can even touch it, and it's a big metal booster. It supposedly weighs 40,000 pounds empty. Okay, 40,000 pounds empty, right? And then they bring it to NASA and then no one sees that they're launching a bouncy house. This is literally a bouncy house. Okay. Um, Now they said bouncy house. There's another one that I wanted to show you. Um, Space shuttle. I
Because
don't.
my
Go ahead.
knowledge, as you know, your average Joe, the orange cylinder is holding the fuel for the booster.
Yeah. Well, no. The boosters have solid fuel in it. This is liquid fuel, and um, these run out first. They let go. Then this thing goes until it's up higher, and then it lets go, and then the space shuttle's already in orbit. That's the official story.
And then, like, we got a comment coming in here. I'm just gonna read it real quick, Dave. Wind
Go.
resistance is less due to incredibly low pressure, and then air pressure doesn't exist that high in the atmosphere.
You can clearly see in that video I was just showing you, because of the smoke, that we're deep within the atmosphere. Okay. We're only 30 miles downrange and it turned over and went kind of parallel with the earth. So plenty of air, plenty of air. So if this thing has to get to like 25,000 miles an hour, it orbits at 17,500 miles an hour. If you take the speed that they have to get to and the amount of time that the rockets are burning, it has to increase, I think, 200 miles an hour increase in speed every like 3 or 5 seconds or something like that. Right? You ever go 0 to 200 in 5 seconds? What
Don't.
happens to your body? Okay. Right there. And so what point, like, you watch this thing launch, it launches really slow, kind of like a balloon. Okay.
Mhm.
And then it goes down range and they always have a tight shot of it. Right. You never really see how fast it's going. Right. So think about this. It goes back to the tank. When it discards the tank, the story is that the tank falls to earth, and because it falls so fast, it burns up. Okay.
Okay.
So watch um watch this. This is being filmed by the pilot, by one of the guys in the space shuttle, that says, they're on their way into orbit, accelerating still, and this thing is falling. Where am I disappeared. This thing is falling back to earth. Okay. This
That's
thing
kind of
is
falling kind of slow.
how is he filming it going up? This thing is falling back to earth. It's 40,000 pounds. Or is it an escaped Macy's Day Parade balloon? If I could talk.
That is wild. That,
Right?
like, it really brings into question right now, like, what has the government been doing for the past 60,
Look at
70
this
years?
thing.
Yeah,
Look
that's
at this thing. It's floating.
it's
And
floating.
there's a video in the app called Rockets Are Balloons, where it shows that there's another aircraft right around here about to retrieve it that you can't see. It has some sort of camouflage. And I don't know in this video if you'll see it. It'll show up really, really quick. And also, there was a handkerchief or something that blew by, and you can see that this thing is barely moving. And this thing's going to burn up before it gets to those clouds. Those clouds aren't that far away.
No, they're not.
Right.
That's insane.
Yes.
But why hide this from the general public? Why?
To make them believe they're insignificant, to make them not, make them give up their lives and feed this evil system that we live in. It's really an evil world, right? It's
Yeah.
it's really, really an evil world. Um, and then here's the other thing: you don't know how where we're seeing this. Are we looking down or are we looking up?
You see, that's even greater question, because from me, it looks like I'm looking up.
It does,
It
right?
looks
But
like I'm looking up.
supposedly we're looking down. What is this? Are you looking up and down, or down from here?
You would looking down.
Now, we could say this is from the space shuttle, but it's not. It's from one of our guys, P Brain's front yard, and he just put it upside down and got a solar panel. Okay, this is how easy that we can get. We can fool people. And think about this: NASA gets $63 million every single day. They should be able to do better than what they do.
Well, then, okay. So the funding that NASA gets, the funding that NASA gets from the Apollo program till now.
Watch how fast Felix falls. Look,
Yeah, Felix Baumgartner.
this thing should be falling faster. How come it's not falling?
What the craft?
This thing.
The tank.
Remember, they're on the shuttle filming it going up. This thing is falling back to Earth. All right, we're back to where we were. That's all right. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's wild. I mean, I'm trying to remember where I was going. That because like you just threw me the Baumgartner, and I just lost my train of thought. So okay, if NASA is receiving all this funding, you know, the Apollo program till now, what is it being used for? What are they doing with this?
Black budgets. NASA doesn't get it. They're using it for their underground cities, for all sorts of stuff that we don't have privy to. The elite, it's their playground, and we're the workers for their playground. They don't want us to know that, and they take all of that money and you know, they've built underground cities that we're unaware of, and where some crazy stuff is going on.
So
Look at
what's
this
your
on the ISS. Fake lemon on the ISS. We caught him. Fake CGI lemon.
That's insane.
No, that's
Now
the ISS.
people can blame the lighting, but like I'm looking at it right there. Yeah, like that's like what the hell?
Yeah. There's a million of these things. A
Oh no,
million.
I've stumbled across a couple of the videos that show, you know, the astronauts in, you know, air quotes space.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah, this one, yeah.
Look at these guys. They're hanging from harnesses. Look at them. What are they wearing? Diapers? Why do they have big belts on? Are their pants going to fall down in zero G? Okay. This is ridiculous. Look at him. Oh, look, I'm hanging from a wire. Look, I'm upside down now. Look at him. His head's going to explode.
And that's always
Okay.
a question that I always had, like when they would put astronauts, you know, on TV, why does it look like they're upside down? Like why are their hair, you know, all over the place? And they look like, yeah, like they're up, like they're hanging upside down. So
Yes.
they actually are being hung upside down.
Sometimes they're on a zero G flight. Sometimes they're in front of a green screen. Um, all different ways.
That's wild.
Yeah. This is one time. This was years ago, and they don't do it anymore. Um, so this is a zero G plane. This one
Yeah.
kind of looks like the space shuttle, the space station, but it's a zero G plane. A zero G plane, does its parabolic arc, and you get 20 to 40 seconds of weightlessness. This happened live on the news. They were talking to the news, and all of a sudden they slammed into the wall and they cut away. What happened here is the zero G plane came out of the curve just a little early, and they slammed into the wall. So, the news saying, "Hey, we're waiting for the flyover. We're only going to have them for like 20 seconds." Okay, and that's because they were waiting. And this is the end of a zero G flight. And this is I just turned that video sideways. Kind of looks like the same thing.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing. And if you watch this guy, he catches his two things he was floating in the air with one hand, like he's done it 100 times. Okay. If you really analyze it, he's got two things floating in the air because they love floating things in the air, and dazzling the people. Oh, look, I'm flipping my microphone around. Look, I'm flipping, this around. And it's all complete and total nonsense.
Yeah, Kyle Adams says, and notice how different their hair is in on the zero G plane in
Yep.
comparison to on the ISS.
100%. 100%. It's
Dave,
like, yeah,
I'm not leaving this show 100% convinced, but I am
you
leaving.
shouldn't. You shouldn't leave it 100% convinced because there's so much I didn't show you. But let me just show you where you can learn, and this is the challenge. Every day on the app, there's a new video that shows up. If I can get out of my there we go. So there's a new video that shows up right here. I say just watch that video every morning, and then usually the videos that come after it are my selection, not Google's selection. But if you are anxious, you can hit this button and it'll bring you to all of the previous videos from all of the years organized by month. So if you missed one, go back, check it out, and start watching those videos. And when you have questions, go to the frequently asked questions page, and there's tons of answers, right? We
Mhm.
were just talking about the International Space Station. So are all space agencies in on it? Click that. Tons of stuff. You'll laugh your ass off all day long. There's all of your questions are answered there. Tons more resources over here. If you want to learn about the moon landings, how ridiculous they are, you'll never be bored again. Books, tons of books. If you're a book reader, great books, and play with it and learn about the Earth. And the other thing is, the other one I want you to watch is Southern Flights. So Southern Flights right here, and there's videos on here that will show you how these Southern Flights only make sense on a flat Earth. And if you want to see some visuals for the Southern Flights, a lot of people don't realize this is here. If you hit the color wheel icon, you scroll down a little ways, and we have our southern flights, which make no sense on a flat Earth. I mean, on a globe Earth, right? So,
Hmm.
so here's one going from Doha to Chicago, and it had an emergency landing in Moscow. Why would it go all the way to Moscow when you look at it on a flat Earth? Look, Doha
Moscow was right in the way. Oh
and
wow.
Moscow is right in line. There's 16 of these that happened, right?
Hmm.
There's a whole bunch of these that only make sense. Beijing to Dallas went all the way to Calgary. Okay, emergency landing. If we look at it, Beijing,
Calgary,
Dallas,
right, right
Calgary's right on
before.
the line. What are the odds?
Huh.
What
Damn,
are the
Dave.
odds?
Yeah, I just downloaded the app. I gotta get registered and everything on that. So because I want to find out more, I really do. We lost signal, when we lost you for a few moments, I was talking to I guess these are some of your dedicated listeners.
We
Um,
have what we all like listening to each other. We all learn from each other, and I certainly didn't figure this out myself.
but no, I'll just tell them like, look, you can say that I've been spoon fed this my whole life.
Here's the thing. You can look at things and say, okay, that works on a flat Earth. Hey, that works on a flat Earth and a globe Earth, like circumnavigation east and west. But circumnavigation south doesn't work on a flat Earth, but no one's ever done it. Okay, doesn't prove anything. Just puts another one in the like. You what you'll realize is nothing goes into the works only on a globe basket. Nothing, because if it works on a globe, it also works on a flat Earth.
Amy
Okay.
in the comments is saying, "Tell us about the World's Fairs."
Oh my lord! I'm not going to tell you about it, but I'm going to tell you where you can learn about it. The world's so the world's fairs are literally the most amazing thing. If you hit the web button and over on the right middle row it says mud floods Tataria,
Hmm.
right? There's tons of information. This is an ever growing list. Check out those channels, subscribe to those channels, watch their stuff, especially John Levy right here. Wait, the first one, John Levy. He does some great work on the World's Fairs, and you'll realize that not only were they lying about the shape of the Earth, but our entire history is ridiculously a lie. You know, we believed in the Wild West in the 1800s. There was an advanced civilization living here, just not much more than 100 and few years ago. Okay, and the evidence is everywhere right in front of you. There's buildings that we can't build today that they built back then with horses and buggies, right? It
True,
makes no
true,
sense.
true.
And it gets worse. If you click that button, make sure you bring food and water, and realize that you're gonna your whole you're that is the red pill of red
Oh
pills.
man,
And once you understand, it all ties together. And here's the thing: would you believe there's some tyranny going on in this world?
no.
Yeah, there's a little tyranny going on. And why are we talking about this? Is because this is how they get away with the tyranny. If you're spinning out of control, lost in space, insignificant, don't know the power of your mind, don't know that you are a free person, okay? That you're a free human being, then you're controllable, right? And then you'll believe anything. You'll believe that there's a boogeyman flying through the air, and if you don't have a piece of toxic paper over your face, that you're going to die, even though you feel great, okay? Um, that you'll believe anything, and that's how they get away with it. That's why all this effort's going into this. That's why this is such a huge conspiracy. This is such a huge deception, and it's to control you. It's to
So
keep you in the matrix, and the matrix is the heliocentric system.
believe me, Dave, I feel like I could talk with you for hours. I just want to make sure like I'm okay on your schedule because I know you're a busy dude.
I'm going to
You
have dinner right now.
beautiful. Right before I'm going to say two names, all right? And I just want to hear your thoughts on them, okay? I'm going to say two names.
Go.
First one, Elon Musk.
100% total piece of crap, nothing man that doesn't run any of those companies. I will send you a 5-minute video called Elon Musk Fraud, and you will realize that everything that we're told about that man is a lie. Proved. It's 5-minute video. It's not a
Okay.
conspiracy. There's nobody going into space. His rockets are absolute insanity. Okay, they're so. I have to show you one more. Okay, he's taken us to Mars, right? Right. Oh, by the
Allegedly.
way, I found the video. This is the space shuttle in a little bit of wind. Is it the 4 million pound space shuttle, or is it um bouncy house?
It's a very elaborate, expensive bouncy house.
Yeah. All right, and now this is the rocket that Elon Musk is going to take us to Mars in. Look at this little crappy little stand it's on. Look at this thing. Nobody's there. Okay, this thing is a test run. It's going to go up. So look, edit, edit, edit. So now we're looking down. Look how slow it's going. Well, look at this little clean flame. All the smoke. Now there's no smoke. Okay.
Mhm.
Look how slow it's going. Now look, we got a side angle. Think about that camera. It's not can't be that high because we're kind of under it, and there's a side angle. Now look how high it is. Okay. Now look, it's still a side angle. How high is this thing? Right? Is the ground right below it? Now look how crazy high it is. Now watch. Now the engine turned off and it's falling out of the sky. This thing weighs thousands of pounds and it's falling. Now look at the smoke coming off of it. Look how slow that smoke is going. Is
That's
this
going pretty.
falling
That's
out of
going
the
pretty slow.
sky? No, this thing isn't falling out of the sky. A piece of cardboard would fall out of the sky faster. Now look, this is not edited. This is what they showed us. Now look, we got this, and then we have that crazy high shot. Now watch. Look now, look how high it is again when the onboard camera. Now watch. The engines are going to come on. Two of them are going to shut off, and watch this crazy cameraman. Okay, he's going to get underneath it. Crazy. Two of the
That's
engines are going to turn off, and now this thing's going to land upright right where it took off. Are you frigging kidding me? Look at the smoke. Look how fast this thing is moving. It's not moving at all. Okay, it's barely moving. Whatever this. Now look, all of this CGI smoke, and it lands upright. That is proposed as real, and people just eat it up because they're like, "Oh, I love NASA. I love space."
So
I-
remember how I said I had two names for you, and I wanted to get
God.
your opinions. The first one, Elon Musk. Holy crap, that was. I'm going to look for that video. I want to see
I'm
it.
going to send it to you. I'll email it to you as soon as we hang up.
I appreciate it. And then the second one, just a crazy dude who I listen to because I enjoy because he's entertaining. Alex Jones.
Did you listen to him the other day with Alex Stein on there, my co-host?
No, I haven't.
Oh my lord. So I'll give you my opinion. Alex Jones is very in the conspiracy world. He is very dividing of the community. People say he's a total shill. I'm friends with people that work there, and I think that he is controlled to the point where he knows he's getting a message out. He's doing his best to get it out, and then he's told not to talk about certain things, right? Like a certain school in Connecticut. He wasn't allowed. Boom, not allowed to talk about that anymore. Not
Yeah.
allowed to talk about certain things. I got on his show with Eddie Bravo, and I talked about flat Earth, and his entire office became obsessed with it. Half of them are flat earthers. Alex was obsessed with Antarctica, and he wanted to do. He wanted to go to
He
Antarctica,
wanted to fund
and
a mission
he
to
wanted to go.
Antarctica.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, one day, he comes into the office. He pulls everyone in a room, and he goes in and says, "Anyone talks about flat Earth again is fired," and he walks out. All right, that's the story. That might be
Holy
slightly more than
shit!
that, and they're not allowed to talk about it. So what is Alex Jones? Is he a gatekeeper, or is he like, well, if I talk about it, then I won't be able to get anything out because everything the guy's been screaming about, from they're turning the frogs gay with this chemical, it's actually true. It's lowering testosterone worldwide, and it's turning animals into hermaphrodites. Okay, it's I forget the chemical. It begins with an A. But Alex was screaming about that years ago, and now it's finally disclosed. Okay, now the chemical companies are admitting it, right? So the guy has been getting a lot of stuff right. A lot of people hate the way he delivers it. That's fine. Alex Jones is one of the people that woke me up. So there you go. There's my take on Alex Jones.
No, no,
I'd
no.
rather have 5 of him than none of him.
um, Wow, no, Dave, I gotta say the last 90 minutes. We were aiming for an hour. That's what your email said, but we hit
Yep.
the 90-minute mark. And I gotta say, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to sit down, not only talk with your audience, but my audience as well, over an issue that kind of gets brushed off on a lot of people. They don't really give the focus. And honestly, like when I have a guest on the show, we go back and forth. We go back and forth. But honestly, I wanted to hear it. I wanted to hear it from someone who has their information in line, who is dedicating their life to waking people up on this. And from the bottom of my heart, Dave, thank you so much
Hey,
for
you
for
know what?
doing that.
I appreciate that, but you're gonna appreciate what you just said when you dive in a little deeper, because this is gonna change your life. You've just been red pilled, and so you're not gonna be able to pull a cipher and take the blue pill and get your steak because they ain't coming back. Okay, you're red pilled, and until you really look into it and free yourself from the matrix, the heliocentric system. Think of Neo at the beginning of the movie where he's depressed, he's left in his room, something's wrong, he's low
Hmm.
energy, and then look at Neo at the end of the movie when he unplugged from the heliocentric system.
He was a
Okay,
free man.
rockets are balloons. I highly recommend that one. It's at the bottom of the web button page. Rockets are balloons, my friend. Watch all of those videos, and you'll be like, I want to frigging kill those guys over at NASA. And by the way, not everyone at NASA is evil. The compartmentalization there is unbelievable. I've been talking to some engineers there, and they're like, we had no idea because we never get to see any of the stuff that we do because it's all compartmentalized.
Oh
So
shit.
you don't know.
So Dave, as we're wrapping up, what are your final thoughts as we're wrapping up the show?
My final thoughts are don't believe a word that I say. Go out and verify this stuff yourself. The best way to find this information, because they're censoring it, and the fact that they're censoring it should make you wonder, is the app, Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, Apple, Android only. And you have to have Android 8.0 operating system or better, or an iPhone. I think the minimum is a 6. Check it out. It's $3. There's a subscription for some advanced features that you don't need. If you don't want to
I
communicate,
have
if you don't
both
want to,
phones, so
yeah,
I'm gonna play with both.
yeah, yeah. So if it has, you have two phones on the same account, you don't have to pay for it twice. You can download it twice for buying it once. Um, the subscription, which is $11 for the year, that lets you message other people, lets you access a really cool weather app, and it lets you look at other people's profiles and fill out a profile yourself. If you don't want to do that, if you can't afford the $11, or just don't want to do it, don't do it. The app is still amazing without those features.
Once again, Dave, dude, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to talk to me. And dude, you've woken you woken me a little bit. My eyes are wider than they were before the start of this episode. And thank you so much to all your listeners and followers who jumped in during the
No problem.
podcast to put in their comments.
Rocky, I would like to reach out to me in a couple months after you've just been looking at this, just every day. Watch the daily video. You're going to get a push notification at 8 o'clock Eastern and every morning saying, hey, the new video's up. Click that video while you're having your breakfast, right? You'll find out you're going to start watching longer and longer videos, and you're going to never be bored again. You're never going to be bored. Like, there's been times where you've been bored, right? Right? No
Of course.
flat earther is ever bored, even for a second. Whether we're stuck in traffic, whether we're having insomnia, whether we're sitting home alone, doesn't matter. We're never bored because this place is too fascinating to be bored. Like, I have a hard time going outside in nature now because I look around and I'm like, holy crap. Like I'm looking, I'm like, I see what that is. And it's not what they told me. Okay. New eyes have been given to you today. The question is, like, remember Neo when he first came out of the Matrix? He's like, why do my eyes hurt? What did
Hmm.
Morpheus say? Because you never used them.
You've never used them, yeah.
Right. Well, your brain, you've never really used it. You were taught to memorize and regurgitate and never to think for yourself in school. It's indoctrination camp. Now you have the ability to look yourself. So there we go. And you
I
can find
appreciate
all my links at flatearthdave.com.
flatearthdave.com. There it is. And as always, if you're not laughing, you're not living. Live every day to the fullest, but always do it with a side of chaos. I'll see you guys next week.